Hey everybody, this is Perch. I got a lot of mails, and more than mails, I got a lot of text messages from other comic writers, comic artists, other people asking about the tariff situation and if tariffs on comic books could lead to increased prices and could lead to a collapse in the industry, and what happens if Donald Trump really goes after Canada, or so just comics are printed in Canada. Uh, Nobody prints comics in Mexico. They just they use inferior paper down there. True story. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Not racist. Or China. I should use the inferior paper joke for that. I don't know what I'm doing. What's wrong this morning? Anyway, would the tariffs, therefore make it more expensive to do stuff, and therefore comic prices are going to go up? And part of this was spawned from a number of fairly prominent comic writers, mostly who don't, and some artists who don't like Trump. I'm assuming, and so they're like, "Here's what you get." The tariff situation in general, I feel like it's actually very, very simple, but I feel like people have really overcomplicated it. And you can be pro or against it. Tariffs are a mechanism, typically to steer behavior. That's actually almost the full sentence and explanation. They're designed as a bargaining or negotiating chip. That's what they're for. And sometimes the bargaining works, sometimes it doesn't. It's like you're playing poker, and sometimes the bluff works, sometimes the bluff doesn't. It really depends. U.S. Tariffs, because we're such a consumer country, and we rely on a lot of products, and we have a nation of people that buy a lot of stuff from other countries. It puts the U.S. in a fairly decent bargaining position when it comes to tariffs, because they can apply tariffs, and typically speaking, it hurt the U.S., but it'll hurt other countries more. And that's just how it works. Now, again, you can be pro or con tariffs. I always find tariffs to be slightly not eye rolling is the wrong word. It's just it feels a little bit like negotiating bullshit, which it is. But I can't argue it's going to be successful. So we'll see where it all goes. Trump is promising tariffs. Anyway, in the world of comics, though, tariffs are really not a significant factor for two reasons. One, the market itself is just too small to really, play in this space much in the first place. Tariffs are best when applied to, say, agriculture, in particular food, major kind of shipping thing. I mean, tariffs are comics are a tiny segment of the business. As again, tariffs are designed to be a negotiating tactic. Tariffs saying, "Hey, we're going to tariff this thing that represents 0.00000001 of the economy." Okay, like nobody's really going to care. The comic buyers will care, but it's not generating leverage, which is the whole point of tariffs. But the other problem is tariffs in general, and I think tariffs do not apply to a lot of different material. Books being one, and comic books are classified as books. So unless Trump, and this is where you have to suspend your disbelief that Trump's going to be sitting there like, "I'm going to sign this tariff, and I'm going to sign a special amendment to my tariff, making books not exempt because fuck people who read." I mean, maybe Trump does that. I don't know. I have a hard time, again, believing that, Donald Trump is going to be sitting there like, "I'm putting these tariffs on. We're going to negotiate. We're going to get some things on. And, no free ride for books. I'm going to sign something special for books." I believe what's more likely is Donald Trump is going to, is more likely to want to go for that second Diet Coke and maybe a cheeseburger versus signing a special amendment, removing the exemption for books, because he really wants to stick it to those comic fans. I don't know. I just don't buy it. And I think as people have listened to this channel for any length of time, I'm not a fan of Trump. I wasn't a fan of Biden. I hate all these people. I've said that consistently. I look for better leadership than this. But even people who hate Trump, you gotta use common sense and logic here. Like this stuff doesn't add up. Anyway, so the idea, and then there's one last factor. So what got people really stirred up, and what a bunch of comic writers started saying is like, Comics are getting more expensive tomorrow. And so let me explain to you how business works, or more importantly, how printing works. And so the comics get printed typically 6 weeks minimum before you are reading them. Okay, then they get bundled off and shipped off to the distributor. Diamond, probably not Diamond. Anyway, other people, Penguin Random House, and then it gets sent off to the comic shops. That process is probably about a week and a half, 2 weeks. In some cases, the supply chain operates so smoothly that they're printing comics, like 3 weeks or a month before that goes out, or sometimes even quicker, depending on how things can operate. But before any of that happens, orders take place. So comic shops, retailers go to a catalog or a website. They look at the comics they're going to pick. They see their price. Okay, cover price is $3.99. They have then their wholesale price. They click, I want 10 copies of that. It goes into an order, and the order is submitted, and then they're billed. It would be illegal, actually illegal. It's not just bad business. If the comic retailer ordered all these comics, paid, got the invoice and got the statement, okay, it'll be $3.99. And then, the bill comes back and goes, and this happens, by the way, it can be anywhere from 3 months before the comic makes it to the store. So, if you think about right now, it's January, and the retailer is sitting there ordering for April right now. Tariffs scheduled to go into effect. I mean, who knows how quick Trump's going to do it, but let's say tomorrow. Let's say, let's say before January's up, tariffs are going. And then the comics, the soonest you could impact anything would be tariffs go into effect. The comic publishers immediately snap into action and go, oh shit, we got to raise prices. Quick, for the May catalog, raise prices. That would be the first time retailers would actually see this price increase, because it is illegal for the retailer to order something and then for the bill to go, just kidsies, you're going to have to pay an extra $1 per book because, Trump tariffs. That would be, you would be sued. That would not, that is an impossibility. Okay, it doesn't work. Once you've been invoiced and billed, you can't randomly change the price wholesale across your books. You can certainly change if it's a different material. For example, a graphic novel comes out and for whatever reason the publisher decides to reissue it as double the size. Yeah, sure, so you're reissuing things. But you can't order something, submit that order, get an invoice, sometimes pay that invoice, and then magically the price just increases because of tariffs for something you've already paid for. The person who would be eating it on the chin would be the publisher printing the book, but they're printing books for May. Do you see what I mean? Like, the timing doesn't work here for comic prices to increase tomorrow. And the price is printed on the book. So it's not like magically, it's like, oh shit, next week, quick. I mean, put it this way. I would actually I'd be impressed and love to see Marvel and DC coordinating with Penguin Random House to go into every single printed comic that they have done with a tiny little sticker that they add to the cover. Like, okay, we're putting an extra $1 on this. It's now $5.99. But that's, like one by one, like what? Or let's say, I saw a comic writer suggesting that now Marvel's going to have to pulp all those books and reprint them at the new price. What, are you high? You talk about losing money. Like, that makes no sense. It's like, well, they wouldn't have to pulp the whole book. They just rip the cover off and then restaple it. Like, okay, that you do not understand how printing works or any of this works. Anyway, so no, comic prices are not going up tomorrow at all. I wouldn't be surprised if some comic retail out there, Brad Hibbs, it decides to like themselves put a sticker on there like, fuck it, I'm gonna use this opportunity to make more money. I'm just kidding. Not even Hibbs would do something like that. It just, a lot of people will bitch. A lot of people will say, like, be afraid, comic hikes are coming. And here's the thing. Now, I've just said all of that. Yeah, I think the comics are going to get more expensive. Absolutely. Do I think because of the tariffs? Nah, not at all. But if you're Marvel and you're DC and you've got some comics at $3.99, you've got some comics at $4.99, and you're like, well, I print my comics in Canada, and I know none of this applies to me or anything else, but now's the time for a price hike because companies and businesses do that. They go, well, everything else is going up in price. We should as well. Now's the time to take price, and they raise the cost. So I absolutely think comic prices are going up because there will be hey buds, hey chums, we've been wanting to raise the price to $4.99 on everything for a while, and some things are getting more expensive maybe. So let's go ahead and line wide raise that price. I can absolutely buy that, absolutely. But yikes. Anyway, this whole thing is amazing. Uh, I the tariff conversation is just so ignorant. How a lot of people are having it, just ignorant. And I would prefer people just say what they mean. In this case, what you could just say is, "Fuck that Trump guy. I hate Trump. Trump sucks." That's fine. That's fine. I don't. He looks too orange to me too, buddy. I'm with you. But to go through this like comic prices that the tariffs are coming after us. Again, tariffs don't apply to books. There's no way in hell Trump is signing a special exemption saying we got to get that extra dollar for books. No, no, like, come on. Even in your wildest fantasies, if you believe that Trump is anti-reading, he's not going to waste his time doing that shit. The prices are not going to change overnight. It's physically impossible for that to happen. Comic companies, are they likely to kind of before the end of the year jump on this and use it as an excuse to raise prices across the line? Yeah, probably, because they do this every time. They did it in 2007, 2008 when there was an economic mess. So yeah, I could totally see that. But in general, like, look, just common sense here, folks. Just common sense. Um, Tariffs are, like I said at the beginning, tariffs are a negotiating technique, a tactic. By the way, the most likely scenario for tariffs, when and if Trump actually starts using them, is he will apply them. Countries will bitch. Everybody will be like, "Oh, well, we'll raise prices too," and then within 2 weeks or so, everybody will calm the fuck down, and there will be a meeting in the middle of, well, we'll do this and you do that. That's what's going to happen. And I say that from somebody it's what's always happened. And then eventually, you use tariffs too much, and then people are like, you know what, fuck you. And then it stops working for a while, then people back off of it, and, we go around and around in circles. But that's what goes on. I guess for sake of completeness, tariffs are applied to things that are being imported and exported, sometimes various services. There's auxiliary services in comics that could get tariffed, not the books themselves, but packing materials. I don't even think that's true actually, for mailing. Are there some kind of random other pieces? Sure, but not enough to make any impact, and definitely not by tomorrow. I mean, just think about what you're saying there. Anyway, thanks for listening.